Thank you. I'm Valerie Henschel. I'm the engineer in charge of the traffic safety section. I'm also a mother and a daughter, mother of a teenage daughter who graduated from Cox High School last year. So I appreciate all your concern, and I'm extremely familiar with this intersection and this corridor. I've worked for the city twice. This is my second stint. I came to the city in summer 2016, right when everything was starting to come alive on this intersection, I guess. And the first study was right before I came. They put together what they could with the data they had, but everything was coming together at the time school wasn't in session. So after I got here, we went back to ground zero. We looked again in October of 2016, and now again we review it again in January of 2017, both times when school was in session. So what we rely on in terms of us as traffic engineers in making determinations is what's called the Manual and Uniform Traffic Control Devices. This sets national standards for traffic control. It sets, that stop signs should be red and octagonal, that yield signs are triangular, and traffic signals go red, yellow, and green. It also determines warrants that help us to put up traffic signals. The warrants doesn't necessarily mean you have to put up a traffic signal or not put up it. It gives you guidance as to whether or not that's something you should be looking at. So these are the 8 warrants. In the actual full report, we go through each one, but on this presentation, I'm going to go for the ones that really are applicable to this intersection. Warrant 1 is the 8-hour vehicular volume under the condition of interruption of continuous traffic. That means you've got a really big main street, which is Great Neck Road, and then a smaller side street. So it gives you credit for the fact that you have so much traffic on a big street that your volumes on your side street can be a little bit lower because of the amount of volume on the big main street. And to meet the warrant, you need to meet for 8 individual hours. It's not just happening 1 or 2 times a day. It's got to be pretty much all day. But it does give a reduction of 30% if your speeds exceed 40 miles per hour, which Great Neck Road, you do get the reduction. The other one we consider is the crash experience. If you notice, the first thing on the criteria is adequate trial of alternatives has failed to reduce crash frequency. And the reason this is the #1 thing is that traffic signals, and I'll go through it a little bit later, actually don't eliminate crashes. In fact, they might not even change your they will change your crash experience, but they might not change the number of crashes. And we've got to look holistically at the intersection as to how it affects everybody going through there. And even if you do have 5 or more crashes that are correctable by a traffic signal, it only gives you a reduction. It doesn't say you have 5 crashes that a traffic signal fix, you can put it in. Because the manual recognizes that traffic signals are not the cure-all for everything, and that they want you to look at other alternatives. So what we have is, this is our crash statistics, and then we have what's correctable by traffic signal, which is 17. So overall we have 4 crashes per year. That's significant, but only 2.8 were, I don't want to say only, sorry, but there were 2.8, it was less than 5 per year, so the reduction in the warrant doesn't apply. So this is how the warrant peels out at a 30% reduction for the 40% speed. You have Great Neck Road meeting at all the hours, and then either Chelsea or River Road needs to meet. I put both of them up there. Pretty much River Road is the larger, more used intersection, and you do have 3 that meet, 1 that comes close, but it doesn't add up to 8. So the guidance from the manual would not recommend a traffic signal. So everyone goes, what? Crashes at signalized intersections? They're supposed to solve that. Well, here's Independence and Ewell. It's about one of the most similar intersections you have to your particular intersection. And look what you got. They didn't go away. They just changed. And this is Great Neck and Wolf Snare. They increased on the rear ends, but you still have a lot of angle accidents. So here's how it looks on when put into a table. And the big thing here is looking at Great Neck and looking at Ewell, Independence and Ewell still has a lot of crashes, but they mostly have been shifted to rear ends. But the thing is, there are still crashes. So the advantage of a traffic signal is it provides orderly movement, it reduces the frequency and severity of your crashes, especially right angles, and it interrupts the heavy flow to provide other vehicles and pedestrians across. It does not necessarily reduce crashes. It increases the frequency of rear ends, and angle crashes can still occur. It does not increase your sight distance. It increases delay and congestion, which contribute to air pollution and fuel consumption. Congestion can also contribute to crashes. And there's a long construction lead time for it. It's going to take 12 to 18 months to get a traffic signal. I mean, part of that is just acquisition of signal poles. Aside from the design and putting it in, it takes 6 months from the day that you know what size you want to put in to get a signal pole. And it has high maintenance costs. So we're going to look at some alternatives to traffic signal because our manual tells us to look beyond just the traffic signal. And when we had looked at the crash pattern, we saw that there might be some opportunity, and I want to bring up one of the people who came up with an idea.